In the United States, community colleges are primarily two-year public institutions of tertiary education. Community colleges offer undergraduate education in the form of an associate degree. In addition, community colleges also offer remedial education, GEDs, high school diplomas, technical diplomas, and tech certificates, and occasionally at some colleges, a limited number of four-year bachelor's degrees. After graduating from a community college, some students transfer to a four-year college or university to continue their studies, leading to a bachelor's degree. Community college is tuition-free for selected students in 47 states, often under the name College Promise. Most community college instructors have advanced degrees but serve as part-time low-wage employees. Community college enrollment has declined every year since 2010. According to the National Student Clearinghouse, the total decline in enrollment from 2010 to 2020 was more than 2.2 million students. The largest enrollment drop occurred in 2020, the latest year surveyed. Before the 1970s, community colleges were often referred to as junior colleges, and that term is still used at some institutions and for athletics, specifically the NJCAT. However, the term junior college is now usually used to characterize private two-year institutions. The term community college has evolved to describe publicly funded two-year institutions. The main national advocacy organization for community colleges, which was founded in 1920 as the American Association of Junior Colleges, changed its name in 1992 to the American Association of Community Colleges. Cohen and Brawler noted other names: City College, County College, in New Jersey, and Branch Campus. Other common components of the school name include vocational, technical, adult education, and technical institute. Nicknames include Democracy's College and Opportunity College. In several California cities, community colleges are often called city colleges, since they are municipally funded and designed to serve the needs of the residents of the city in which they are situated. However, the state's public two-year colleges are not solely found in its larger cities. New York City's network of community colleges was established outside of the CUNY system, and they integrated into that system at the insistence of the state government. Another example is Westchester Community College. In the late 1940s, the county operated a popular vocational institute. The New York state government required that the county transform its technical institute into a community college. The county government resisted this transformation, as it would be responsible for a third of the new institution's operating costs. In contrast, the state paid for all of the technical institute's operating costs. After a series of very heated meetings, fully reported in the local press, the county was forced to conform to the state government's wishes. The origins, purposes, and funding of public two-year colleges varies widely among the states and, as in California, within states. Because the role played by rural community colleges in preparing excess rural youth for productive careers in urban centers is not well understood by policymakers, these smaller institutions do not receive sufficient state funding to offset their weak tax bases and, because of their relatively small size, they bear much higher per-student costs when compared to urban community colleges. This inequity in basic institutional funding has led to the creation of such organizations as the Community Colleges of Appalachia and the Tribal College Association, which have sought to promote more equitable funding irrespective of an institution's size or location. Community college tuition is free in 47 states to qualified individuals, through College Promise programs. Adjunct faculty, a form of contingent workers, make up most of the instructional staff at community colleges. Adjunct pay ranges from about $1,397 to about $3,000 per course. While the community college instructional staff is diverse, some community college professors are freeway flyers who work at multiple campuses to make a living. Most adjunct faculty have limited autonomy and input, and are provided a limited amount of resources. Poor pay for adjuncts and a lack of job stability leads to faculty turnover. 1 in 4 families of part-time college faculty are enrolled in at least one public assistance program, such as food stamps, Medicaid, or the Earned Income Tax Credit. Adjuncts report feeling disconnected from college life and have limited awareness of campus initiatives and resources. According to the American Association of Community Colleges, the race and ethnic backgrounds of community college students taking credit are 41% white, 27% Hispanic, 13% Black, 6% Asian/Pacific Islander, and 1% Native American. The mean and median ages of community college students are 28 years of age and 24 years of age respectively. 35% of students are attending full-time and 65% are part-time. 29% are first-generation students, 15% of students are single parents, 20% have a disability, 9% are non-citizens, and 5% are military veterans. About 80% of community college students have jobs, and about 40% work full-time. This section is an excerpt from Issues in Higher Education in the United States: Student Poverty and Hunger. Research by Sarah Goldrick-Crabb and others found that more than half of all community college students surveyed struggle with food insecurity. A follow-up study found more than a third of college students don't always have enough to eat and lack stable housing. 9% of those surveyed were homeless. Before 1850, a few public institutions offered 2 years of college: LaSalle Junior College in Auburndale, Massachusetts, and Vincennes University of Vincennes, Indiana. Helland cites a section from the 1899 Vincennes University Catalog. The Vincennes University occupies a unique position in the educational field. It is halfway between the commissioned high school and the full-fledged college. It is in fact a junior college. Many early community colleges were normal schools that prepared school teachers. Primary emphasis was placed on traditional middle-class values and developing responsible citizens. As an example, normal schools began in the state of Massachusetts in the 1880s as extensions of local high schools. They were originated to meet the need for teacher preparation. In St. Joseph, Missouri, a normal school was added to the local high school to provide a career track for women who wanted to teach. Mr. Whiteford, the area's district superintendent, inquired of the University of Missouri to determine if credits from St. Joseph Normal School could transfer into a baccalaureate program. The university's president, Dr. Hill, acknowledged the request and provided for the articulation. Coincidentally, Dr. Hill was actively involved in the American Association of Universities and calling for the establishment of junior colleges for this purpose. In Minnesota, St. Paul's Public School District established a city training school for preparing teachers. The 1883 school's mission was to provide certified teachers and substitutes for the district. Mrs. M. E. Jennis from the Normal School at River Falls, Wisconsin, was the St. Paul School's first principal. Mrs. N. F. Wheaton was the director of practice. Wheaton had been employed at the Oshkosh Normal School in Wisconsin. In Minneapolis, a normal training school was instituted in the fall of 1887. Miss Adele Evers of Manchester Normal School in New Hampshire was appointed the first teacher. She was one of 6 candidates for the position. Evers' references included work at Martha's Vineyard and Saratoga. Baltimore's Manual Training High School, opened in 1884, was the first separate secondary school for education that was specifically work-oriented. The Maryland institution was unique as a standalone campus. Other examples of sub-baccalaureate programs were the University Preparatory School and Junior College of Tonkawa. The result of the 2-year schools founded in Oklahoma Public School Secondary System in 1902, both institutions later merged in 1914 and became the Oklahoma Institute of Technology. Dean Schneider of the University of Cincinnati developed an alternative high school with a cooperative plan where students spent 1 week in an occupation and the other in school. Industry provided the shop experiences and the classroom facilitated the academic. There were also non-cooperative high schools. 2 examples were the Girls Vocational High School in Kansas City, Missouri, and the Delgado Trade School in New Orleans. A 2-year, terminal education, was seen as more socially efficient for students who could advance past high school but not continue to attain bachelor's degrees. This national vocational movement gave junior colleges a target population, but numerous students wanted more than a semi-professional education. Many maintained a desire to transfer. Throughout this time period, there was a move for more public two-year institutions along with a trend to separate from high schools and affiliate with higher education. With the change in affiliation came a new status which encouraged junior colleges to develop additional credibility through the creation of professional criteria and use of scientific methods. Brent and Carabell conclude that the two-year college has been a distinctively American creation, and nowhere else has it attained such prominence. J. L. Ratcliffe suggests one perspective for the emergence of two-year post-secondary institutions of the past century. They began in the private sector after the Panic of 1893. At that time of severe financial hardship, J. M. Carroll, president of Baylor University, made a pragmatic suggestion to solve the problem of too many Baptist colleges with insufficient funds and not enough students to support them: reduce the smaller Baptist colleges' curriculum to the freshman and sophomore years. After this preliminary period, Baylor University accepted the two-year students and provided the junior and senior years of their academic plan. Carroll hoped this split would require fewer faculty and resources for the first 2 years of higher education. In the larger cities, early public community colleges were often an extension of high schools, like the first established, Joliet Junior College, in Illinois in 1901. These initial community colleges generally were small, usually fewer than 200 students, and focused on a liberal arts education with the goal of transferring students to four-year colleges. They reflected high school needs and lacked a definite identity. These examples of two-year structure innovations with transfer missions in the private and public sector provided a pragmatic approach for the preservation of existing institutions. Junior colleges grew in number from 20 in 1909 to 170 in 1919. By 1922, 37 states had set up 70 junior colleges, enrolling about 150 students each. Meanwhile, another 137 were privately operated, with about 60 students each. Rapid expansion continued in the 1920s, with 440 junior colleges in 1930 enrolling about 70,000 students. Many factors contributed to rapid growth of community colleges. Students' parents and businessmen wanted nearby, low-cost schools to provide training for the growing white-collar labor force and for more advanced technical blue-collar jobs. Four-year colleges were also growing, but not as fast. However, many were located in rural or small-town areas away from the fast-growing metropolis. Several different movements supported the creation of community colleges, including local community support of public and private two-year institutions, the expansion of the public education system, increased professional standards for teachers, the vocational education movement, and an expanding demand for adult and community education. Numerous colleges and universities advocated for the development of junior colleges. Leadership felt small, private liberal arts colleges and high schools could provide the first 2 years of college, while larger universities could focus resources on research and junior and senior level students. During the 1920s and 1930s there was a shift in the purpose of community colleges to developing a workforce, which was influenced by wide unemployment during the Great Depression. Developing semi-professionals became dominant national language to describe junior college students. The notion that engineers and supervisors make primary decisions about what and how activities were to be done in the workplace provided the origins for employees needed to carry out their decisions. This need for a class of workers to implement the decisions of the theoreticians demanded an educational delivery system other than the traditional four-year college or university. The closed shop of the artisan which had initially provided workers was no longer the educational program of choice. Nationally, a new two-year vehicle for educating the industrial worker found its launching within the secondary public school system under the leadership of local school districts. After World War II, the G.I. Bill afforded more educational opportunity to veterans, which resulted in increased enrollments. Another factor that led to growth was the rise of adult and community education. After World War II, community colleges were seen as a good place to house continuing education programs. The 1947 President's Commission on Higher Education was an important national document for community colleges. It established a network of public community colleges that would provide education to a diverse group of students at little or no cost, along with serving community needs through a comprehensive mission. The peak year for private institutions came in 1949, when there were 322 junior colleges, 180 were affiliated with churches, 108 were independent nonprofit, and 34 were private schools run for profit. This national network exploded in the 1960s with 457 community colleges and the enrollment of baby boomers. A series of grants through the Kellogg Junior College Leadership Programs helped train many community college leaders during this decade. Merritt College, a junior college, and now a community college, in Oakland, California, was the site for organizing and educating members of the Black Panthers in the mid to late 1960s. In the 1970s, growth continued when many enrolled to escape the Vietnam-era draft. The 1970s also marked a shift to faculty development, including more instructional training for the unique student body and mission of community colleges. In 1976, Coastline Community College was launched as the first college without walls, using television, a precursor to today's online programs, as well as using community facilities. As a result of budget struggles, community colleges relied more on part-time instructors, which made up 50 to 60% of the faculty by 1980. During the 1980s, community colleges began to work more closely with high schools to prepare students for vocational and technical two-year programs. By the end of the 20th century, two-year community colleges were playing important roles in higher education as access mechanisms. They became an integral feature for those persons who were attending higher education for the first time or as non-traditional students. Brent and Carabell have recognized the change that transpired from 1920, when fewer than 2% of all college freshmen were enrolled in a two-year college, to the late 1980s when over 50% were matriculated. Junior colleges, once located in high schools, had left their origins to develop their own campuses and were called community colleges and still retain the transfer access mission. High school normal schools matured into teacher colleges or colleges of education within universities offering bachelor and graduate degrees. Industrial institutes integrated with local junior colleges to make these campuses programs more comprehensive community colleges. Along with this growth and legitimization of two-year mechanisms for the delivery of higher education, the emergence of two-year institutions provided an epistemological debate that divided the river of education flowing into the early 20th century into three streams of educational natures. In the process of this struggle and adjustment, some colleges will grow stronger, some will become academies, some junior colleges, the high schools will be elevated to a still more important position than that which they now occupy. The general result will be the growth of a system in the higher educational work of the United States, where now no system exists. In recent history, a debate between the advocates and critics of community colleges gained strength. Advocates argued that community colleges served the needs of society by providing college opportunity to students who otherwise cannot go to college, training and retraining mid-level skilled workers, and preserving the academic excellence of four-year universities. Critics argued that community colleges continued a culture of privilege through training business workers at public expense, not allowing the working class to advance in social class, protecting selective admissions at four-year institutions for the nation's elite, and discouraging transfer through cooling out. In 1998, 64% of community college faculty were part-time workers. Although the growth of community colleges has stabilized, enrollment continued to outgrow four-year institutions. A total of 1,166 loosely linked community colleges face challenges of new technological innovations, distance learning, funding constraints, community pressure, and international influence. Some of the issues currently faced are explored in community college resources compiled by the Association for Career and Technical Education. During the Great Recession, 2007 to 2009, community colleges faced state budget cuts amid increases in enrollment, and community colleges raised student tuition. With enrollments decreasing, lower budgets at community colleges continued with increasing reliance on adjunct professors, who were paid less, typically received few employment benefits, and faced greater uncertainty of continued employment semester to semester. In the 2010s, funding for community colleges faced scrutiny as state budgets were tightened. Because higher education budgets are considered discretionary expenses, they have been more likely targets for cuts than K-12 education or Medicaid. In 2014, however, the state of Tennessee and the city of Chicago, Illinois began programs for free community college. In 2015, President Barack Obama proposed making community college tuition free to many residents of the United States. The plan, called America's College Promise, rekindled a nationwide conversation on community colleges and the funding of higher education in general. The proposed program would have had state contribute a portion of the funding and would have covered tuition only, non-tuition items, example textbooks, supplies, transportation, and room and board, would not have been covered. However, key Republican lawmakers, including John Boehner and Mitch McConnell, publicly opposed the legislation. By 2015, 2 states took measures to provide free community college tuition. Oregon now is poised to follow Tennessee as the second state with a plan on the books to provide free 2-year college. The Oregon Promise, similar to America's College Promise, will provide free community college to students who meet certain eligibility requirements. According to Fain, the legislation will cost Oregon $10 million per year to pay for tuition costs state and federal aid doesn't cover. Thanks to a large increase in funding for higher education, Oregon is able to financially afford the costs of providing free community college to students. Tennessee currently has the Tennessee Promise, but this initiative does not receive its funding in the same way in which President Obama wanted to fund U.S. College Promise, Mangan and Supiano, 2015. Following in the footsteps of Tennessee and Oregon was Illinois. The Community College of Philadelphia and Harper College in Illinois announced plans to provide free 2-year community college experiences to students, Fain, 2015. Thank you for watching this video.